Hey guys, how's it going? Tominator here. And this may be the last Olympia video I make, at least for 2020. It's basically been a full month now since the show, and it's starting to stale out a little, so next time we'll probably do something else to shake things up. But for now, there's one key element I've yet to discuss thus far, and so I wanted to take the opportunity to do that here. And this is none other than 5th place finisher William Bonac. The current Arnold Classic champ has got to be disappointed with that result. I mean, he just beat Big Ramy earlier in the year, and now he's fallen all the way down to 5th? I don't know, man. If I were in his shoes, I sure wouldn't be thrilled with that outcome. But William was pretty much on the outside looking in the entire time. They had him briefly in the top 4 call-out in the beginning, but he was quickly bumped out for Hadi Choopan. And that's the other guy I want to discuss today. Believe it or not, these two actually split the vote for 4th in prejudging. They were only a single point apart, meaning that 2 of the 5 judges' votes that were counted went towards William over Hadi. Personally, after reviewing these prejudging photos in depth, I find this somewhat unbelievable. I guess it just goes to show the power of reputation and recency bias in bodybuilding, even at the highest levels, because in my book, it really wasn't that close. No disrespect to Bonac, because he's a world-class bodybuilder who has proven himself time and time again, but he wasn't as good at the Olympia as he was at the Arnold, and his lower placing reflects that. Hadi was plainly better, but nevertheless, I wanted to go through these mandatories and compare them shot for shot. In the front double, see right here, Hadi's whooping him straight up. Bonac might take the calves, but that's literally it. Even his low lat attachments are more of a hindrance than an advantage right now, since they don't really taper out much, and he looks pretty wide through the waist. Bonac's fairly strong through the legs, but Choopan still outdoes him in the quads, and he's bigger upstairs too. I think William got kind of screwed getting lumped in between the two guys with the best quads in the show. His legs would definitely fare better standing on the other side over there next to Brandon Curry. But as it is, I have Hadi winning this easily. In fact, I'd have to put Bonac dead last here. I think he's the least impressive out of anyone in this pose. And the front lat spread, in some ways, is even worse. Okay, maybe Bonac measures up a little better compared to some of these other guys now, but certainly not compared to Hadi. Choopan is way wider across the chest, with a better V-taper and sharper, more thickly developed quadriceps. It's especially noticeable down there by the knee. I like Bonac's definition through the torso, and he looks very balanced in this one. I think it was actually a better pose for him this year than his front double, but he simply doesn't have the width or wow factor of a Hadi Choopan. Again, going body part for body part, he's really only winning the calves. Okay, maybe the arms too, but those are not that important in this pose. But as for Hadi, if there's one thing to potentially criticize him for, other than the arms, and we're really nitpicking now, it's that left delt, which looks oddly pointy almost. I'm not going to cry synthol or site enhancement because some guys just have blocky looking shoulders, but it does look a little funny. It could just be the angle, but I don't think so because I've noticed it at other times as well, not just in this pic. But at the end of the day, it's a minor imperfection and what is otherwise a total knockout pose for the Persian Wolf. I'd have him beating everyone here except for maybe Ramy. The side chest is a point for Bonac, though. He looks much thicker now, especially through the arms, and those glutes are like Ronnie Coleman-esque. They're actually probably too big from the side. He needs to add more hamstring sweep to help balance that out. But nonetheless, he's showing a ton of quality detail and separation right now. Hadi, on the other hand, isn't hitting it that well. In my opinion, he needs to tuck that far arm in more, like how William or Phil are doing. It just looks a little awkward how it's sticking out like that. What I will say is that I like his lower body a tad better. It's more proportionate than Bonac's with his oversized glutes. And his near shoulder looks frickin' ginormous, just crazy depth front to back. The midsection also shows some nice cuts, but overall I prefer Bonac. mainly based on arms and execution. Now, the back double is one where you'd expect William to clean up. He's easily been one of the best in it for the past 3 or 4 years. But hang on, guys, Hadi's mounting a challenge here. I said last year that this was Hadi's weakest pose, and it still might be, but not only is he holding his own now, he might even be winning. Wider back, way bigger through the shoulders, it's not even funny. And a similar size lower body and arms. If anything, he's perhaps a little bigger in the bis and tris here. Bonac still has him in terms of detail, and he's definitely got the better calves and glutes. In fact, I'd give him the whole lower body here. But Hadi's extra mass up top really draws the eye, and a lot of Bonac's detail is getting sort of washed out in this lighting. I suspect this is one of those instances where if you were sitting there in person, it'd look totally different. Maybe Bonac's conditioning is getting lost a bit in these photos. That often happens with darker skinned competitors. One way to sum it up is that Hadi is larger with more wow factor, but Bonac is more complete and proportionate. At first glance, I was tempted to give it to Hadi, but the more I look, the more impressed I am with Bonac. So we're going to go with William the Conqueror here, but it's not a total runaway like it was last year. And as for the rear lat spread, damn it, man, I thought Hadi was going to take it easily and make my job easy, but nope, not the case. Maybe he hasn't fully opened up, because I swear he looked considerably wider than this, but maybe that was just in the finals, because he definitely improved from Friday to Saturday, and all these pictures were from the Friday night prejudging, by the way. But yeah, this is surprisingly close, guys. Choopan still has more lat width, but William's pretty much matching him on density and retains the edge downstairs. I could honestly see it going either way, but overall, I think I gotta go with Hadi. Ideally, we'd want to get a second look, but unfortunately, this was the only photo featuring the two of them side by side. So, in a close lat spread race like this, it's usually a safe bet to go with the wider guy with the better taper. In the side try, it looks like we got another nail biter. They both look awesome. I know most people would probably say Hadi, and agreed, I think he takes it. But Bonac looks exceptional in his own right. Very round, voluminous muscle bellies. Just look at how his tricep juts out behind him like that. Nice detail through the midsection and side leg also. But Hadi's physique has a harder look, you know? That tricep horseshoe and shoulder separation is crisp, and the midsection is absolutely chiseled. Best abs and obliques in the picture, hands down. Decent separation in the lower body as well, so yeah, I'm going with Hadi over Bonac again. And the ab and thigh is incredibly easy to call. This is probably the biggest blowout of the 8 mandatories, because Bonac's among the worst in the call-out, and Hadi is arguably the best. I'd say it's either him or Big Ramy. But between Hadi and William, please, it's not even debatable. In Bonac's defense, I think this is a smart choice for him, turning to the side to emphasize the quads and downplay the wide waist. He's showing some nice striations in the thighs here, and the obliques are on point. There's really nothing to be ashamed of. All in all, it's a good, solid shot. But Choopan's abs are next level, man. It's rare to see deeply etched abdominals like this anymore. This used to be common back in the 80s and 90s, but since the turn of the century, it's become a rare sight indeed. And combine that with those massive grainy quads, and it becomes a deadly 1-2 punch. Hadi's got him on the ropes here, guys. So, can Bonac bounce back in the most muscular? And hot damn, whoa bro, I don't know, you tell me. On the one hand, Hadi looks like a freaking beast with those cannonball delts and rock hard abs, quads, and pecs. He's super broad across the shoulders. Only the arms somewhat let him down, but he looks Mr. Olympia worthy everywhere else. On the other hand, Bonac's physique is practically overflowing with definition and detail. The pecs, the delts, the biceps and quads, everything is striated and vascular. And while his frame is much smaller, he's basically maxing it out. I can't see where he could even add any more muscle without spilling over or compromising his conditioning. I think he would defeat Hadi in the crab, but since Hadi is wisely hitting his strongest shot, we don't get a direct comparison, and their strengths kind of cancel each other out. My gut reaction is that Hadi takes it. Structurally, he's so much better, and that extra mass really draws your eye. It actually takes a second or two to even notice Bonac there beside him, but once you do and you really scrutinize the guy, you begin to appreciate his dense, quality muscle development. In this second shot, they've spread them apart, but on the plus side, they're both hitting the same pose now, and William takes this one. He's more balanced and just better through the arms, which this pose is highlighting. Hadi's got too much space between his buys and forearms, and the discrepancy between his thighs and calves is really glaring. I mean, it was always there, but it's standing out to me more now for some reason. This whole pose just seems to be pointing out his wonky proportions and not showcasing his strengths in an ideal way. It definitely suits Bonac better in my eyes. So, because he's more versatile and less flawed in it, I'd tentatively award the most muscular pose to William overall, but not by much. In any case, it doesn't really matter because that's still a score of 5-3 in favor of the Persian Wolf. Bonac only took the side chest, back double, and most muscular. He could have arguably taken the rear lat spread as well, and wasn't far off in the side triceps. But the difference here is that for each pose Bonac won, he only barely pulled ahead. Hadi could have arguably won all those shots, whereas when it comes to the front double by, front lat spread, or ab and thigh, there's no doubting who came out on top in those ones. So that's the difference between these two. I would say that Hadi is the more flawed bodybuilder, but his strengths are simply overpowering. He might not have as much fine detail as William from the back, nor is he as complete when we're talking about the calves or forearms, but his structure is so much better, and even his conditioning was probably a cut above. In my opinion, the difference between them should have been greater than a single point. I think the judges caught their mistake by the time the finals rolled around, because yes, Hadi did objectively improve, but he went from fighting for fourth to unanimously taking second, and I don't think he improved that much. It was probably more a matter of the judges realizing that they'd underestimated him during prejudging. So yeah, guys, that's my take on it. I didn't mean to shit all over Bonac or anything like that. I feel like the poor guy gets more unwarranted flack than probably any other current pro aside from Phil Heath. So I tried to praise him when it was deserved, but in the end, Hadi Choopan was simply the better bodybuilder at this Olympia, and I don't think it should have ever been a question between those two. Anyways, that's all I got for this one. What do you guys think about this contest between the mini mass monsters, if you want to call them that? Do you agree with my calls going pose for pose? A couple of them were kind of contentious, so I'm sure opinions will be mixed, but I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Thanks for tuning in, and until the next time, this has been the Tominator signing off, and I'll be back.